everyone. Welcome to January 2017 Astronomy in the News.
Hi, everyone. My name is Major Merger, also known as Sinclaire Manning. I'm a second-year graduate student at UT. Where are all of you going to be on August 21st? I hope it's somewhere along the shaded region of the U.S., because if you are there, you will experience one of the coolest astronomical events a human can observe, which is a total solar eclipse. And I know this seems incredibly far off. I think a lot of us might be just hoping we get through this Friday, but if we're still around on August 21st, try and plan out a trip to be somewhere near the shaded region. All this info on the eclipse, NASA's got a great website, and I didn't put it up here, but it's eclipse2017.nasa.gov. If you have any questions, there's a lot of safety things to consider with viewing an eclipse, getting the right viewing glasses for it. But all of us here at AOT really encourage you to try and view it in some way. Even in Austin, you'll get around 65% coverage. And so it'll be a really cool experience for all of us. And we'll continue to advertise this every month up until August. But again, these are all pretty rural areas along the line of totality. So you really want to start planning now if you can.
And I will say, Oregon is pretty nice in August. St. Louis and South Carolina, maybe not so much. Okay, next, just a few weeks ago in Grapevine, Texas, basically near the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, the 229th meeting of AAS. Pretty much everybody here who's an astronomer was at that. It's the winter meetings are the largest meeting. It's the largest meeting of astronomers in the U.S. It happens every year. There's an additional one in the summer that will be happening here in Austin this year. It's not quite as well attended, but it's kind of cool. Most of the news that we'll be talking about later today was announced at this meeting, so which is the main reason I wanted to bring it up.
All right. So, just how old is the moon? Scientists think they may have a more concrete answer now thanks to a little mineral called zircon. And so Melanie Barboni, an assistant researcher at UCLA who's pictured here, used a pretty risky technique of completely dissolving the zircon fragments found in moon rocks in acid to measure the individual elements within the mineral. And so the chemical signatures that she measured allowed her to estimate when the moon solidified from its volcanic stage after forming from the debris of a high-speed collision between a Mars-sized object and Earth. And so it was considered to be risky because these moon rocks that she used were collected from the Apollo 14 mission in 1971, and I'm sure you can guess there are only a finite number of those available to us. So when you say you're going to dissolve some moon rocks in an acid bath, people kind of raise some eyebrows at you. But they let her do it, and so after all of this, she determined the age of the moon to be 4.51 billion years old, which means it was just created around 60 million years after the formation of our solar system, and it's older than previous studies found. And so in terms of our own Earth, it makes sense for it to be this old, because after that giant impact, the Earth would need more time to become sustainable for life again.
All right, next up, Larry Molnar of Calvin College, shown in the lower right, along with a bunch of, I'm assuming, his undergraduate students, didn't specify exactly who. We're looking at a particular system. I didn't write down the address to it, but this system is known as a contact binary. What you see in the upper right is one star and another star orbiting each other, and they're so close that the outer parts of their atmosphere is touching. So it's in contact. We call it a contact binary. Drag and gravity is causing these stars to slowly get closer and closer together. And this type of system is expected to cause something called a red nova. It's essentially an exploding star that's very, very red relative to other types of exploding stars. This particular system is unusual in that the authors have predicted this system will merge and explode in 2022. So March 2022, plus or minus 6 months, these stars will finally merge and possibly explode. This is something that's very, very, very unusual in astronomy. It's rare that we can predict things that will happen at a specific time, much less predict things that will happen within our lifetime. This object will perhaps be barely visible to the naked eye at a very dark site, magnitude 6 for you amateur astronomers here, for perhaps a couple days to a week when it goes off. So, head out to McDonald Observatory, you can probably see it.
All right, hopefully this shows up decently well for all of you, but now it's time for our obligatory pretty picture of the month. So new infrared images of the Orion A molecular cloud, which is located just south of Orion's sword in the Orion constellation. They have surfaced. So this image was taken, and get ready for a lot of acronyms, by the Visible and Infrared Survey Telescope for Astronomy, or VISTA, at the European Southern Observatory, ESO, Cerro Paranal facilities in Chile. And so nearly 800,000 celestial objects can be identified thanks to the improved depth and coverage of the last one, VISION survey, Vienna survey in Orion, which is a project based out of the University of Vienna. And so infrared images are great because they allow us to peer through the dust and gas that blocks our vision at optical wavelengths. And so because of this, we're allowed to peer through the gas and dust and see where these star-forming regions are, these so-called stellar nurseries, and really get a clearer view of what's going on behind and inside these clouds.
Okay, next up, fast rodeo bursts. These are bursts of energy in the radio spectrum. They're less than a second long. They're in a radio band that's pretty similar to what many cell phones use, about 1.5 gigahertz. They were first discovered in 2007 using data that was sitting around since 2001. Nobody had gotten around to looking at it. But we weren't sure what they were for the longest time. We weren't sure whether they were coming from within our galaxy, from far away, what they were, what caused them, where they were happening. So announced it at the AAS this year. A very large team used the Arecibo telescopes and the VLA telescopes, radio telescopes, to identify the location and potential source of these fast radio bursts. They're occurring 2.4 billion light years away, this particular one. It's in a galaxy, but it's in the outskirts of a galaxy, which is a little bit unexpected. When we talk about really energetic things happening in galaxies, we tend to think that it's probably going to be something more related in the center or something like a supernova. There was definitely no supernova associated with this, but it appears as though they might be associated with regions of the galaxy where new stars are forming. So it might be something having to do with the birth of stars. So keep tuned, literally in your radio band, for further information about this one.
It's not like Contact. You don't listen to them.
No.
Okay. Okay, last but not least, unfortunately, we are sorry to report that Dr. Vera Rubin, best known for the discovering of strong evidence of dark matter in spiral galaxies, died on Christmas Day 2016. She was 88 years old. She was a pioneer in her field as well as a champion of women in astronomy. She got her bachelor's in astronomy from Vassar College in 1948, but was then rejected from Princeton's astronomy program as they didn't accept women until 1975. So she instead got her master's at Cornell and then her PhD at Georgetown University, and she constantly battled sexism within the field, even after earning her graduate degrees, and balanced her career while being a mother to 4 children. So her contributions to astronomy can hardly be overstated, and her many influences on the field will continue for centuries. And so I just want to end with a quote from her. Don't shoot for the stars, we already know what's there. Shoot for the space in between, because that's where the real mystery lies. So thank you, Vera Rubin. And that's all we have for you.
So And I almost. So I do want to mention, many of you have heard the astronaut Gene Cernan passed away very recently, just in the last couple of days. We tend to prepare Astronomy in the News about a week in advance, so he will be included in February 2017 Astronomy in the News. So thank you all.